When it comes to the negative rebuttal, there are a few key points that I'd like to touch down on. The first one being how my opponent stated that we could use this trip to the moon as sort of like a escape hatch or a life raft that we can use to get out of the Earth should, shit get too bad for us to be able to handle it that way. The second point that I'd like to touch on is how my opponent stated that we could use the moon as an extra source of income, somewhat in like a tourist sort of way, but also just like being able to exploit the different necessities, I could say, that the moon has that we haven't been using at Earth. And my third point that I'd like to touch down on is the issue of topicality and kind of focusing on how my opponent may have judged her perception of it wrong. But okay, starting off first with a disadvantage, going into the escape hatch or life raft, the question that I'd like to ask is who's the one that gets to decide that this certain country or this certain group of people can get away from all the bad things that are happening on the moon or on Earth, and how will that affect everyone else? The uniqueness to this is that there will be a conflict on who gets to escape Earth. The link, they said that we have a moral obligation that we need to make sure that not just us, but our children and our children's children have a future, which they won't have a child or a future if we're going to be using this plan because of these impacts that I'll be getting to. The internal link, with limited space, there will be a struggle, possibly violence, and because of this, they'll have to decide through that way and have to deal with that kind of conflict, which, fourth point, my impact is that the conflicts could enter a potential nationwide level, and this life raft or escape hatch may end up sinking the ship faster than it originally was going to be, the life raft being the moon and the ship being Earth. But moving on to my second point, on the area of tourism or exploring the moon in that sort of way, my question again, this disadvantage is who's the one that gets to decide? Who's the one that says that the Earth gets to have all the trading or tourist rights to the section of the moon while Russia gets that section, but then, hey, China's pissed off because they have the back corner that no one wants to go to. It could just lead to a different multiple of conflicts, unnecessary conflicts. The uniqueness to this is that the moon does not belong to any one nation. It belongs to the world itself. That's what the current moon treaties are saying. The link would be that my opponent said that the tourism will offset a lot of the more expensive costs and make it a more financially friendly option to go to the moon. Which the internal link, my third subpoint, is how will the other nations react to the U.S. claiming the tourist rights on the moon? How will they feel now that we all of a sudden claim dibs and now it's just us? I feel like that pisses a lot of people off. Which, leading right into my fourth subpoint, the impact. Almost certainly, a conflict will rise between nations, a nationwide conflict once again, which it could be nuclear at its worst. I'm not saying it is, but again, I'm not saying that it isn't. I don't know. Which, my third main point, the issue of topicality. I'd like to focus on the phrase develop the moon, with the keyword being the moon. My counter definition for this, subpoint 1, mining and refining the moon in minerals, water, energy. That's the definition of developing the moon. Which this whole entire debate is focusing on developing the moon and not trying to get extra flight space or trying to figure out exactly if we should be sending drones or if we should be sending soldiers or people, or just little like subpoints that my opponent was trying to focus on a little bit more, but was either not really as clear or kind of use that to divert the attention away from the actual resolution that we have. Which the violation in the rebuttal, they continue to highlight how people would be more suitable than robots, or how the younger generation needs to be considered into the vote, and how we need to start looking towards our children's futures. This is all great, but we also need to look towards our own futures and the future of the moon. That's where the resolution analysis stands, and I feel like that is where we should be trying to focus all this attention and what we're considering to vote. Everything else has nothing at all to do with the resolution analysis, and therefore should be not contended. So point C, the standards. We, being the negative side, were the only ones that were able to consistently stay on topic and not sidestep the resolution in any way, shape, or form. Which leading on to my fourth and final subpoint, the impacts. None of the other information that was told to you pertains to the current resolution analysis, and therefore should be thrown out of consideration, because it's just clouding judgment and adding unnecessary stress to an already stressful situation. With just these reasons, and for all these reasons, I believe that the negative side is winning this debate, and that we should not continue to develop the moon. Thank you.